1.1 Part 2. Expressions using exponents. We're going to go back briefly to some vocabulary. And to do that, I'm just going to draw the number 3 raised to the 4th power. And we're going to talk a little bit about some vocabulary again. 3 to the 4th is called a power. And a power is an expression that represents repeated multiplication. And just to make sure that we've labeled everything correctly, the 3 is always called the base, and 4 is called the exponent. The whole thing is called a power. And as you know, again, I'm doing things that you know, but we're gonna ease into algebra slowly. 3 to the 4th means 3 times 3 times 3 times 3. Okay, 3 multiplied by itself 4 times. It's not 3 times 4, and I'm sure you probably remember that. It's 3 to the 4th power. 3 times 3 times 3 times 3, right? Which is going to be, you probably can do this in your head, 81. So powers we need to learn how to express properly in words. And again, this was an easy one. This is 7 to the 1st power. And I'm not going to do every example in the book, but if I did this, this is 1/2 to the 3rd power. And a variable, we're going to pick z this time, z to the 5th power. Okay, now what do these mean? Well, let's write them out. 7 to the 1st power means 1 single 7, or 7. 1/2 to the 3rd power, also known as 1/2 cubed, is 1/2 times 1/2 times 1/2, which gives you 1/8. Z to the 5th power is z times z times z times z times z. And we can't evaluate it unless somebody tells us what z is, correct? Okay, so again, a little bit of homework snuck in here. I want you to do guided practice numbers 7 and guided practice number 8. So pause the video right now and do those 2 numbers for homework. I'm going to go on to the second portion. Let's look at example 4. And this is, we're going to take those powers and we're going to evaluate the expression. So here, I'm going to do something similar to what I did before. I have x to the 4th. But now I'm going to tell you that x equals 2. And so now you have enough information to evaluate the expression. Okay, so what do you do to evaluate that expression? Well, you're going to substitute 2 in for x. So 2 to the 4th, that's your first step, which means 2 times 2 times 2 times 2, which is going to be 16. So you fully evaluated that expression. Again, this doesn't always have to be a nice round number. Sometimes you're going to have a fraction, or sometimes you're going to have a decimal. N cubed, what if n is 1.5? Well, if that's the case, then we're going to substitute n, 1.5 in for n. So 1.5 to the third power, or cubed, is 1.5 times 1.5 times 1.5. And if I calculate that, and you can use a calculator, is 3.375. So again, I'm going to assign you a few problems, and I'm going to want you to do all three of these. Guided practice 9, 10, and 11. So pause the video and make sure you do those, because I'm going to ask you to turn them in tomorrow morning. Last, just a reminder, exponents are used everywhere. And there's a reason why things are called square. For example, 4 squared. You see this all the time. Here's a square, here's 4. You know, the area of a square, right, is 4 squared, because it's the side squared. Similarly, if you have a cube, and I say I have 4 cubed, that's because it's the length times the height times the width. So here, my area, 4 squared, was 16, and here my volume, 4 cubed, is 64, because the volume is the side cubed, since the sides of a square or a cube are all the same. Okay, that is the end of 1.1. Finish those guided practices, and I'll have you a little quiz to make sure how well you're listening tomorrow morning.